If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
My Chemical Romance, Famous Last Words is the next song for Anarchy 99. One of our alliances. If you want to join an alliance, jump on Patreon. It starts at $1 a month. And then you can help influence our list of songs. All right, so Anarchy 99 says, like many of the other alliances, every few polls in Anarchy 99, we will set up a random drawing for our members, and the winner will get to put together their own curated playlist of 20 to 30 songs with no genre restrictions or requirements. This is the winner of the list put together by Power Synth.
Power Synth. Power Synth. Power and Symphony. That's Franz, what happened? I heard there was some gunfire around where you were at. Are you good? You safe? Everybody straight where you are? You can't just post something like that and then leave. What the hell? He's like, yo, I just heard some, speaking of guns, I just heard some shots outside my house. I'm like, what the fuck? So now I'm like, yo, where's Franz? So I go to look for Franz. He's not there. I'm like, yo, Riv, where's Franz? No Franz. No Franz anywhere. Now here he is. He's acting like nothing happened. You just told us there was a shooting in your fucking neighborhood, you weirdo.
Oh yeah, he also said his wife didn't feel good, so he was getting off.
Yeah, what the hell?
That's where we're going to take care of your wife.
All right, here we go. Song numero 3. My Chemical Romance. My Chemical Romance. Famous last words. Lyrics are in the video. Let's do this shit.
No, I know that I can't make you stay, but where's your heart? But where's your heart? But where's your... And I know there's nothing I can say to change that part, to change that part, to change. Cast a shadow, but can never speak. Awake and unafraid, asleep or dead. 'Cause I see you lying next to me, with words I thought I'd never speak. Awake and unafraid, asleep or dead. 'Cause I see you lying next to me, with words I thought I'd never speak. Awake and unafraid, asleep or dead. 'Cause I see you lying next to me, with words I thought I'd never speak. Awake and unafraid, asleep or nothing you can say can stop me going home.
Our Amazon account is up and running now. We are selling our formula officially. It's amazing stuff from Europe.
Made in Germany. Sold in America.
Highest standards there are. In America, the standards haven't been updated since 1980. Super weird, like older than me. In Europe, they update safety standards basically every year. This formula is top notch, great for the stomach, great for constipation. This is a great product. If you happen to want to purchase it and join us on our journey, then grab the link in the description. If you do and leave a review for us, send me a screenshot at vinandsori@gmail.com of your review after you have received the product. We will put your name in a hat. Song reviews are going to come out by some of the people that have left reviews. Don't forget to send us a screenshot of your review once you get the product. Now a word from our mascot dressed as a pirate, Fuji.
It's a deal of a deal.
Whoa, that's deep. That's deep. What do you think? I think it's a relationship song.
I gathered that as well. Well, it doesn't sound like things are going well for these people. It kind of sounded like one person. So it kind of sounded like what the first person says. Now I know that I can't make you stay, but where's your heart? I don't know if they're asking the other person, like, are they saying, where's your heart? Like, because the person wants to leave, like, are they trying to go with somebody else? Where's your heart? Like, what happened? Like, why is your heart not, like, why is that person's heart not there with them anymore? He says, but then he says, I know there's nothing I can say to change that part. So I wasn't sure if, like, something happened, and so at first he's saying, like, look, I can't make you stay, but where's your heart? Then he's saying, I know there's nothing I can say to change that part. So it kind of makes it sound like he did something that's making it so that this whole thing is falling apart. But he's saying, like, I can't change that.
Yep.
And then he says, so many bright lights to cast a shadow, but can I speak? Then he said, well, it's hard understanding is it hard understanding I'm incomplete? A life that's so demanding I get so weak. I love that's so demanding I can't speak. So that point when he gets to the verse, it kind of sounds like he's saying, like, stuff is hard.
He couldn't keep up with her. Some people it's hard to be in relationships with. So he couldn't keep up with her demands or whatever of being in a relationship with her. He said a life that's so demanding. Do you have a love or a life that's so demanding? I have a life. Yeah, he's in a pretty crazy life right now. He's a rock star. Mm-hmm. And so he's got a. I say this all the time with my guys, man. Like if you're a genius at your craft or whatever, there's some occupations that take you away from your family or are extremely rigorous to maintain. Like they're hard to get into, and then they're almost equally as hard to stay. And so the guy's got nothing left for this person to keep going with the relationship is what it looks like to me. And, you know, it's a taxing lifestyle. He's got record execs to deal with. He's got all a bunch of shit to deal with. And then he's got this relationship. And he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it.
So you didn't think that he did anything. When he says, I know there's nothing I can say to change that part, what part do you think he's talking about?
What part? In the intro? When he says, I can't make you stay, but where's your heart? Where's your heart? But where's your... And I know there's nothing I can say to change that part. Yeah. What part? Like, you're saying I'm
asking you, because I thought that part was that he did something, like, there's nothing that he can do to change that, because he says...
I don't think...
Honey, if you stay, you'll be... Oh, no, he says, you'll be forgiven.
Yeah, I was laughing. I'm like, well, how did you find a way to turn him into the... he's saying, I can't change her heart. He's recognizing that he can't control her heart. He can't control how she feels, and particularly how she feels about him. So he's saying, I can't control that, so I'm not gonna worry about it.
Okay, so that part is her heart. He's saying he can't change the part that she doesn't love him anymore.
He can't influence her emotions for him. Like, she's either gonna want to stay or want to leave. That's it.
And then he says, okay, so then she must have done something. When he says you'll be forgiven, do you think it's forgiven for the fact that she was going to leave, or do you think that there was something else that happened?
I mean, I was in a situation, in a relationship where I guess people could characterize it as that person was committing acts of infidelity, but my aspect of it was, well, I've been going away a lot. I've been out of pocket a lot. We're not getting along, So there's a part of me where I was like, I kind of understood, and so I was able, I kind of like put it behind me, and we kept it moving. So, and I've seen that with dudes. Like you see it a lot with the other way, because the guy is usually the one that cheats. But a couple other people that I've known, especially dudes, especially some folks I used to work with, like, there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of. It was almost like we were in a relationship with this organization. And we loved that, and we gave the best of ourselves to that organization, and then the wives got to scrap. And so there was kind of like this.
Yeah.
It's kind of the price you pay for whatever. And I was able to get around it because there were other guys in the situation to one degree or another. Mm-hmm. Back at home, there was nobody in the situation. But when I'd go off to work, there are a lot of guys in that same situation. So, there's the ideal of what you think the relationship is supposed to be, and then there's the practicality of what it is. And I think he's getting to a point where he's looking at Shorty. He's like, I can't change how you feel about me, man. But at the same time, he's not gonna stop being who he is. I mean, what's he gonna do? Put the music away for this girl? That's not gonna happen. So that's why he's saying, I'm not afraid to keep on living. I'm not afraid to walk this world alone. This dude. When I was, I married Shorty straight out of high school, and so it's kind of like world ending for me. The idea that we weren't gonna be in a relationship, because I remember I used to count the years to see, okay, when we turn this age, we will have spent more time with each other than away from each other. I used to that was like a big moment for me. So I never could imagine a life without being with this person. And then she left, and wouldn't you know it, the world didn't disappear. Everything kept going, and it was kind of bumpy. I kind of looked around, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm surviving. And obviously, I had kids in the situation, so you can't quit when you have kids and they're depending on you, and they just lost their mom and all that shit. You gotta. Nobody cares. You gotta stand up and man up and come through. And so, you know, the song is pretty crazy. But like, if a person says like I can't live without you, you know, the more I grow, the less I look at that as a romantic phrase. Like, I can't live without water. It doesn't mean I love water or I'm loyal to water. It just means that water is a resource that keeps me going. Mm-hmm. And so for him to say, like, I'm not afraid to keep on living, like, yo, I'm going to be good regardless. A lot of people take that as like a big, like the final fuck you, or you didn't mean anything to me. Because the way that we've, like, especially females, I apologize, but the way we've constructed real love, it's I can't live without you, and my, you know, rah, you know, and so like we look at that, we say, oh, that's real love. But to me, like, real love is, no, I could survive without you, I just don't want to. Like, to me, that's way more romantic than saying I can't survive without you. That to me is like a good bottle of wine. Like, I don't need wine to survive, right? So to me, that's the difference. I don't really think that that's necessarily very romantic to tell a person you can't live without them. But he's saying to this girl, like, yo, I can live without you. Mm-hmm. I mean, that right there is crazy. Like, you're not supposed to say that type of shit, especially if you're trying to get the girl back, because he's trying to get her back. He's trying to say, like, I can't make you stay, but it looks like he wants to stay. He wants her to stay, but he's recognizing that he can't. But then as he's trying to convince her to stay, he's like, look, I can live without you. Like, I'll be okay. Like, I'm going to keep living. I'm going to keep doing my shit, yada, yada, yada. So it's like, wow. Like, that's crazy. I've never seen that before in one of these breakup songs.
He says, I see you lying next to me with words I thought I'd never speak. Awake and unafraid. Asleep or dead. How can I see you lying? I see you lying next to me.
Yeah, man.
So do you think he's saying that, okay, so she's asleep beside him, but he's awake and unafraid? Is that what he's saying? Like, yeah. So he kind of hit a point.
Well, she said some shit, or they said some shit. And that's like the big thing, man. Like, you gotta, you know, folks get reckless. They say all types of crazy shit in a fight, man. But you know, at some time, like, you gotta be really, really, really careful, man. When you get mad and your significant other, and you end up saying some crazy shit, because the thing is, like, words cannot be undone. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you get into a conflict with somebody or whatever. And this happened a lot in New York too. Like, the girl, like, no disrespect. I mean, look, the girls in New York had to be a certain kind of hard because it's fucking New York City. And so, because of the environment, they were hard. So when you would get in a conflict, they would just, like, it would be completely scorched earth. And you're not gonna put a hands on a female, because then dudes are gonna get at you. But, like, man, I've sat back and seen some shit where, like, yo, shorty was saying, like, the craziest, like, most disrespectful shit to one of my friends, and I knew that situation happened right as we were going into the second period. I was like, yo, we're gonna end up mixing it up with some dudes or something today, because the shit that she said to that dude in the fucking hallway, like, so. And sure enough, he found some reason for us to get to some rumble with somebody. So this is what happens. Like, they're in a bad spot in their relationship, and I would rather, like, my default is, like, when I'm like at a furious point, like, I try my best to just be quiet or be short or end the discussion. I'm like, oh, okay, because, like, when I know where I'm at and the danger of saying some shit. But, you know, it's the heat of battle. I'm not saying people can't be forgiven, but you can't undo certain shit. That's why when you know, with the boys, I'll watch them fight each other, and, you know, at some level you got to let them kind of, you know, negotiate their own kind of terms to some degree. But there was one particular phase where they're like, "You're not my brother," blah blah blah, and I pulled that aside. I said, "You could never ever say that again. When you have fights, you need to have things off the bat that you will never ever say." And so, even though it wasn't a relationship thing because it was him and his brother, it's a principle thing though. And so I said, Johan, you've got to have a list of words and phrases that you will never use against your brother. Because I understand that you're mad and you didn't mean it, but now you can never unsay what you said to that dude in the moment. So you have to be very, very careful and purposeful. The angrier I get, the quieter I try to get, which doesn't always get interpreted, as, it can be interpreted as like trying to like ignore the situation or whatever. But that's kind of like, for me, like it's a big thing. Like, it's just better to be quiet. It's hard to watch your kids lose their innocence. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But at the same time, like, I wanted sons so that I could have those conversations because I never had those conversations coming up. You see what I'm saying? So me and my brother got into it, and we did and said there was nobody to kind of bring us in and say, whoa. You guys got to have line. So I had no line. So I went to war with my brother, like my older brother. Like it was really, really ugly, and there was nobody around to guide. So when that was happening with my sons, I was kind of happy because I'm like, yo, like I get to give them, give them that guidance and inculcate that principle. And look. Right now it's his brother, but we all know how it is. They're going to go out into the world. They're going to find a lady. They're going to fall in love, blah, 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 blah. But then there's going to be conflicts, and you got to have established, just like with any sport, there's rules. There's lines that you can't cross. There's out of bounds. There's fouls. And, a relationship is a full contact sport in every sense of the word. And so you got to have... You got to have an understanding of what the terms are, what the parameters are, what are the rules, where are the boundaries, that kind of thing. And so that's why communication is so important. It's really important. So you don't, by the time you get to this point in a relationship, like you're in bad shape, man. You're in a lot of trouble. And so like that's why communication is such a big primer, and that's why if you make a practice of having that kind of like lexicon of words and phrases that you'll never use with your friends or with your brother, your sister, your mom and dad, if you practice that, then when you get into your relationships, you're going to practice that in your relationships. But if you're one of these people, when you get mad, you just say whatever the fuck you want to say, and people just have to deal with it because it's you. Okay. All right. This song I thought was a very... It's a very insightful song. It was a very, very insightful song. And it was unique because on the one hand, he was trying to keep her around, but then he's like, I'll be fine without you. It's like, okay. I mean, I've heard I'll be fine without you. I've also heard come back, but I've never seen them put together. Trick what? Lace who? That ain't what Mace do. Got a lot of girls that'll love to replace you. Tell it to your face, boo, not behind your back. Bitches talk shit. We never mind that. So... that's how I grew up. That's how I grew up. I didn't grow up with this, come back, blah. I didn't grow up that way. So, this was this song was, weird. I respect it, though. I respect it. I like shit that's, practical and real, and this is, as real as it gets, because the fact of the matter is, if you've invested in any sort of relationship whatsoever, this idea that you could just break up with somebody and be done with them and be completely fine is ridiculous. I think what he did here is I'm gonna live, I'm gonna be fine. I would much rather be with you, but we got issues, but I'm gonna be fine either way. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And the song was Famous Last Words, the name of the song.
This is interesting. Kind of a weird take, but I've always looked at innocence as a negative trait. It's needed for a comfortable development, but you can't develop compassion and empathy until you lose it. Not sure. I think it depends on how you define innocence, I guess, because I think what you're saying is sympathy and empathy is to suffer with a person. So if So compassion with passion, with suffering, to suffer with. If you mean losing innocence to mean to be hurt, to be scarred, or to come to the realization that it's a cold world or whatever. If you define losing innocence that way, then yeah, I agree with you. I look at innocence in a moral sense, and I don't necessarily. I think the moral innocence of children is actually very good and should be maintained as long as possible. Mm-hmm. Moral innocence, situational innocence, as in not understanding that the world is a bad place. I mean, I took that from my kids as soon as they were verbal, because we taught them stranger danger, right? So like, so there's a sense in which situationally I just took the innocence from them, because they're like, well, why do I have to worry about people? Yeah. Then you have to tell them, well, people can hurt you, or they can take you away from mommy and daddy. We won't see you anymore. You got to tell this to a little kid, but there's a reason that there's stranger danger. And this state is a child molesting capital of the world. So there's a sense in which I had to go and take that from them, but I don't think that compromised their moral innocence. So, but yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. That's a really fascinating discussion. I do think it's true that if a kid is completely and totally sheltered from the slings and arrows of this world, they're going to be. I watch it when I watch that Pearl Davis girl, where it's clear to me like she doesn't have any empathy or compassion for people, for women in a bad situation, and that's because her father was a multimillionaire, and so she doesn't understand why women make the decisions they make because she grew up in a completely pampered environment. So when I'm watching her, like, it's clear, I'm like, yo, she really doesn't. She really believes what she's saying, and she really thinks that shit is that simple because of the life that was given to her. Yeah. So
when she talks about sexual assault, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, Pearl is a person who, oddly enough, doesn't have a lot of moral innocence, but has a lot of situational innocence because she was sheltered. And that's the thing, like, people talk about homeschooling kids like they're sheltered. Our kids are not sheltered. Our kids 2 days ago, they were standing on the floor of the at the Capitol, Maine State Capitol, fighting for babies.
We didn't even know.
they did all that shit for themselves. Yeah. Like we had nothing to do with it. I just saw a video and I'm like, holy shit. And you know, Dorian strolled up.
It was a takedown when he did his.
Yeah, they clapped for him.
I could only listen once or twice. I could only listen to it twice because it was so.
They clapped for him at the end. He was like, Vah! But my point is, our kids have been exposed to a lot of human suffering, a lot of situational issues where we sat them down and said, hey, this is what's going on with this person, that type of thing.
Bye, Riv.
Later, Riv. Love you, buddy. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of off topic, but yeah. That was so curious. That was such a that's such an interesting idea. Negative vibes. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. All right.
9.3 for me on this one.
Solid 9 for me. We've got. Right. Don't touch that dial there, listener. We got more coming your way. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.